Welcome to the Public Speaking Podcast. My name is Matheson, also known as the Speaking Coach. I help teams and organisations of all shapes and sizes right the way across the globe say what they need to say when it matters most. My controversial view is I think most people are getting it wrong, not because their intentions are wrong, but because they're not being themselves. And that's what I bring to this podcast.
And I'm Emma, founder of Dream Clinic, and I'm going to be speaking about the business of public speaking. I work with founders and expert-led businesses, helping them to develop their ideas and use those as profitable channels. I believe that a lot of speakers fail because they don't have the systems and the support networks around them to help them be their best.
Episode 1, day 1, what day? It's been an amazing morning, hasn't it? We've just recorded a whole bank of episodes and here we are. How are you feeling?
Really good, really excited. Amazing guests, lots of incredible insight, real world insight, and I think already seeing some emerging themes.
Yeah.
Very much humans in business,
Human, I think everyone so far
Yeah.
has used that word quite profoundly, haven't they?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm just really looking forward to seeing where other people are pushing the boundaries, have good advice, perhaps have not only nuggets of wisdom, but maybe opportunities for community.
I'm really excited about the intersection between our nervous system and our patterns and our conditioning and how that affects how we show up on stage. And we've spoken loads about that through all sorts of lenses with the guests that we've got so far. Particularly, I always find it fascinating how people think that the best way to be is hiding all that stuff. Like staying away from it.
I think the public speaking world notoriously feels unattainable. It's a bit gatekept. It's a bit of a wild west, unknown, and it feels like a far reach for a lot of people.
It really does, doesn't it?
And I think, perhaps we think of public speaking as being on a world-leading stage, giving some kind of iconic address or keynote, but actually people are doing it every day within business, within their work environments, and perhaps not always giving it the attention it deserves or treating it in the right way.
Because I guess this is the public speaking podcast, we've deliberately gone quite Ronseal with the title. For you, what does that mean? What does public speaking mean? What can people expect?
I think for me, it's anywhere you have something to say and you've put it in the public domain. Whether that is through a speech or a talk or addressing your team, or whether that's putting something out online or creating something for your website. I think anywhere you are having a voice, that is public speaking. And people, again, they're doing that all the time, but they don't necessarily think so.
Yeah. I often say, we spoke about this in one of the later episodes that's coming up is the idea that actually we do it all the time. You say, I really love that. But then when someone puts a time and a date on it, we stop being ourselves, And public speaking to me is any situation where you have eyes on you that you don't feel comfortable in.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, that's really interesting.
And that tends to be mostly professionally, sometimes personally, but we're leaning a little bit more into the professional side of things here. And usually the indicator, so I guess I say to clients, like an indicator here is like, are you feeling triggered or at the edge of your comfort zone? And then chances are you're moving into a public speaking territory. You're
right. And people putting themselves out there is a big step. And again, wherever that is in the public domain, having something to say and having something valid to say or talking about yourself and your own experience, that gives people the yips.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It brings up everything, doesn't it? We feel vulnerable when we are seen.
Absolutely. And I think another common theme which leans into that as well is how people then might try and mitigate how they're perceived by maybe not quite showing up authentically. I think we're all guilty of it,
Yeah.
I do it with my kids, and you're trying to put a straight face on or
mask it a little bit.
Or you go into a situation and you are feeling a bit nervous. And I think you're right. In terms of public speaking, that is married not only on the stage, but also in business. How are you showing up? Who are you showing up against? What are you trying to say? What platforms are right for me? So I'm really hoping as this series continues, we can really dive into that and scope out and use our guests as a great resource.
Yeah, and excavate it. I really like, how this has emerged. And there was something that came up in one of our planning calls that I think you said, which I really loved, which is, I'll bring the art of public speaking, you'll bring the business of public speaking, which is, for me, that's just become what the angle for this podcast is, which is really brilliant and beautiful, both those worlds. So what is the business of public speaking for you? For anybody listening, what does that mean?
So the business of public speaking is all the systems that you need to build around your speaking identity, your persona and your story that help you to leverage on that and monetize it and use it within your business. For example, somebody that has given a speech, perhaps they've been an accidental speaker, they found themselves volunteered to volunteered and thrust into giving a talk. It went really well. Perhaps they enjoyed it. They've worked with a coach, they've honed their skill. They feel like this is for me. And actually they've got great feedback and there's opportunity there to do it again. I think what's really important then is to make sure that you have the systems and the assets in place to be able to pull of that all together. And that's really difficult because you might be a solopreneur, you might be an entrepreneur, you might be working inside a business simultaneously. So having an extended team, a network, a community that can help support you in reaching some of those speaking goals is super important. So I want to talk about all the things that you might need as a speaker that will help you to be successful.
Got it. So everything around the stage, if you like, and of course I'm not talking about microphones and steps, but I guess like the way I see it is the world that you're bringing is the scaffolding that sits around that moment, whether that's, like you say, the commercials, so the branding,
building your visibility engine, building your website, making it easy for people to book you. As a speaker, you want to be making the transaction of your business very easy, and a lot of that gets lost. And if this is a big focus for you and something that you want to sustain, then making sure that you have those assets or the people or the teams around you to support, and that is super important.
And doing it and this is the thing that I think is really cool about the angle of what we're doing here, is how to do that in a real authentic human way that isn't the kind of corporate polished false way that leads speakers to feel disengaged or undervalued by the people who are booking them, or that they're not being themselves. And I think we talk about this in a later episode as well, around how the runway that brings them to that space, they need to be themselves all the way through that process and be confident in their offer and trust their intuition, say what they want to say, even in the runway. It's not just that moment on stage where the story is, otherwise you're kind of setting yourself up for something. There's a whole world around this. People just see what's on stage, don't they? It's like you don't think about the work that goes in beforehand, the support and everything that wraps around it that helps make that moment happen. And I guess if that's not right, that means that moment's going to struggle even more.
The business of public speaking, I think it feels really unobtainable for a lot of people. And being able to make a career or monetize on sharing your ideas and your story sounds like a wonderful thing. And it feels like something that perhaps is daunting or slightly out of reach. And if you're on your own or already working inside of a business, it does require a lot of time and energy. And there are systems and assets and processes that you need to create in order to be good at that. It's a job at the end of the day. And you need to be easy to work with, and it needs to be sustainable. You need to enjoy it. So creating a business around your speaking is a supportive ecosystem. It's a community. It's the go-to things, as if you were in any other business, whether you're a consultant, advisor, working in a shop. You would have processes, you would have your documentation, you would have a marketing engine, you would be working on your visibility. And a lot of that, I think, comes as a second thought. And actually, to remain consistent and authentic is something that you should be building right from the beginning. And then that gives you the grounding and the ethos that you can continue as you scale.
I love what you said about remaining consistent and authentic, needing to be there from the beginning, because I know that when I work with clients and they come to me, different levels of, I put it in inverted commas, authenticity creeps up at different times depending on where they are. And, they may be in the call with me, they might be really authentic, but actually when they've got to go back to kind of planning the talk out with the event, or kind of like moving back into the leadership role that they're in, and with the runway towards the board pitch, they slip out of that.
Yeah.
And then that just creates more hurdles towards the day that they're going to be on stage. So if they really want to be themselves on stage there, it's like that's got to happen in all these other pieces as well.
And it's all about the setup and the expectation. Yeah. And if you want something to be successful, you need to be consistent. Yeah. And we'd expect that in any other walk of life or any other relationship that we have. Yeah, and it's absolutely the same for speakers.
And it's really funny how, and this is one of the themes that we're touching on, is how we hide so much of ourselves in front of other people because of fears that we've got. But ultimately, the most engaging, the most compelling, the most impactful, and the most results-driven presentations are the ones where people are being really, really true and really honest. And
it's memorable.
Yeah, it's memorable, because you might not, I even say to people, you might not agree with what that person says, but if you could tell they're being honest, you respect it.
But do you find some people as well, I think they come into it wanting to be everything to everyone and feeling like they have to kind of appeal here and appeal there and appeal to everything. And in doing so, kind of dilute some of that core message. But I think that's also nerves. And I think that's also where the fear of public speaking creeps into the business side of public speaking. But really, it's all part of the same ecosystem. And really, you need to be looking at both simultaneously. They're a mirror of one another. And especially with digital and AI and video, really what you're learning for the stage is really applicable across the board.
It really is. I often have people say, oh, help me make a video, or like help me nail this TED talk, or help me stand confidently in a boardroom, but I don't need to worry about this other stuff. Or they say, actually, no, I've realized I think I have to have all these different versions of me for all these different mediums. And it's like, no, you don't.
No.
That just makes it so much harder for you, And again, that's often because all we've done is see all these different versions of people around us. And we think, oh, so I have to be like that there. I have to be like that there. I have to be like that there. It's almost like some strange kind of split personality person in different spaces, which then, might work, but it's going to take a lot of energy because it's not you in that space. And once I start seeing you in different spaces,
I'm confused.
They're confused. Absolutely. Yeah. It's confusing.
Sounds
and it's
exhausting.
Inauthentic and it's exhausting. Yeah, definitely. And, drawing this back, because of course, one of the things I'm fascinated about is the kind of psychology behind a lot of this. Drawing this back, and I'm sure anyone who's listening can do this, is like the different people that we have in our life who are close to us and the different versions of ourselves that we show to them, and in some places that can get really exhausting when we hold back speaking our truth or overcompensate or don't show up. And it's actually the same metaphor, if you like, that we're looking at here, but with professional speaking. It's like all these different versions, and that's not to say you don't have different delivery styles, but is it you? I guess is the question people should be asking, I think, which is one of the questions we're going to be exploring in this podcast.
Absolutely. And get some incredible insights from guests that work within really specific areas that really lean into some of the pain points that public speakers and public personas have, but also not only in delivery, but perhaps within their business, and getting real with that. Just be honest about it.
Yeah. So given this is episode 1, of course, and we've got loads more coming, what are you most excited about discussing with all our guests?
I'm really excited about how the public speaking world is going to look in the next 5 years. So I think working with people that are in it now and experts within their fields, I think it gives us really good insight into where things are going to go. And my personal opinion, my unpopular opinion might be that the industry, how it is right now, has got a little stale. it's a little archaic. It hasn't moved with the times. We've got a real hybrid of old school structure, which is gatekeeping a lot of really true, amazing voices that I think are struggling to break through. And we've got a lot of noise. There's a lot of people putting stuff out there. It doesn't really mean anything. So this is a really interesting time. So I'm really excited to get a bit more of an insight from the wider field into where things are going.
We're at a point of change, aren't we?
I think
in
so.
Technology, in how we're seeing. I mean, if we look at the younger generation, how they're a lot more open about how they feel and what they want to say. These are the people who are going to be the speakers of the future.
Absolutely.
You know, and already are in many ways. So what am I excited about with regards to what we're going to be talking about with people? I'm really excited about finding out from other people what the motivations and levers are for them or have been for them that have brought about that change in how they speak. Which is what I work with people on, you know, is like to find that lever so that they can be themselves rather than the person they're not. But there's millions of other people who are doing this in different ways. And I'm really excited to hear what's the journey someone's been on to find their way of doing it. And then how that has changed how they show up on stage.
Let's learn about what impact they're having. What does that system look like for them right now? What's going on in their world? Get that insight, which I think will be hopefully really interesting for our listeners. And I don't think it really matters where you are on your public speaking journey.
No, I think this is for everybody who, I guess, fits that definition we were saying of having to be in front of other people, not feeling yourself and feeling the pressure. Whether that's 3 people or 3,000 people, there's going to be something in this for you. Exciting.
Very
Can't
exciting.
wait.
Yep.
Okay, and with that, I think we're at the end of our first episode. And the second episode is going to be available to see straight away. So get stuck in. And I've been Matt, thank you.
And I'm Emma. And we'll put our details in the comments.